at UC Davis's beef barn, a team of scientists and students are mixing together molasses and a special kind of seaweed. They'll sprinkle it over the cow's meals, like a nutritional boost.
We're using for our low dose about 1/4%, and our high dose is 0.5%.
It may not seem like much, but this dash of seaweed is part of a new diet that could help curb greenhouse gas emissions in cows.
Livestock are responsible for about 14.5% of the greenhouse gas emissions.
And cattle are far and away the biggest contributors.
Usually when you hear about methane from cattle, you think about cow farts, and it's actually the complete opposite. A majority of the methane that comes from the animal itself is actually through enteric fermentation. There's microbial populations within their stomach, and these microbial populations are actually degrading the feed and producing byproducts that the cows either absorb into nutrients or other microbes actually ingest them and create other byproducts. Methane is one of these byproducts.
Greenhouse gas emissions are very much related to the quality of diet. The more forage, the more fiber you get, proportionally more methane emissions.
And that's why this seaweed, aparagopsis, is so intriguing to an international community of scientists.
So it was first found in Australia. Some of this aparagopsis was introduced into a petri dish with the bacteria from the cow guts. They could actually prevent methane from being produced.
It struck me that this is something that could also work quite well in real animals as well. Aparagopsis has an active ingredient called bromoform. Basically acts as an inhibitor to an enzyme that's required by the microbes to convert hydrogen into methane. It disrupts that process so that methane is not formed.
Once the cows finish their dinner, the team will calculate their emissions to see if the seaweed is doing the trick.
We use a machine called green feed.
When an animal walks in, it reads their ear tag, it drops down feed, and they get to stay there and eat feed.
The machine will take the sample of the breath and will automatically analyze it. You can actually monitor it in real time. What we've seen so far is that the amount of methane that can be reduced is proportional to the amount of bromoform that the seaweed contains.
So while they're trying to understand how aparagopsis will affect cow health and well-being, we're trying to understand how to influence aparagopsis health and well-being.
Dr. Jennifer Smith is a marine biologist at UC San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography. She's working with the UC Davis team to see how we can cultivate seaweed responsibly, so this potential solution doesn't become a whole new problem.
Aparagopsis taxiformis is incredibly beautiful red seaweed. It produces a lot of really unique chemical compounds, and some of these chemical compounds have been found to be really valuable. And that is one of the stages of aparagopsis that eventually grow into another phase. And that phase looks a little bit like a pink cotton ball. It's a filamentous, very delicate phase. To date, nobody has really completed the life cycle of aparagopsis in cultivation. In my laboratory at Scripps, we're manipulating things like light, temperature, and nutrient concentrations to explore growth rates and chemical composition of the tissue. If you can alter light or temperature and you can get a doubling of growth, that's going to be really important for thinking about scaling up cultivation.